Hi, I'm Callie and welcome to Kapowski Reads. And I have my notebook, I have notes. It's time for my quarter 2 wrap up, which is just wrapping up my reading over the last 3 months, so April, May and June. I'm going to chat you through my reading stats and then my favourites. In this quarter, I finished 52 books and I also had 4 DNFs. I have been trying so hard to get better at just accepting when a book isn't working for me rather than ploughing on and ending up with a 1 or 2 star read when I could have just put the book down and picked something else up and had a better time with that. I read a total of 17,107 pages, which is a very pleasing looking number. And my inability to DNF when I should is definitely reflected in my average star rating for quarter 2, as my average star rating is 3.29, which is it's pretty low. I would say anything under a 3.5 is generally viewed as being quite a low rating. I had a little look at my most read genres, which I actually found to be quite surprising to me. My most read genre was fantasy. That's no surprise there. I read 12 books that would be considered to be firmly in fantasy, but I also read 12 books that would be considered romances, which is not I don't normally pick up a romance, but when the weather gets a little warmer, so does my heart, and I want a wee romance. And my third most read genre was LGBTQIA+, with 11 books. I was kind of shocked not to see mystery up there because I feel like I read a lot of mysteries, but it seems like I had replaced my mysteries with romances, apparently. I have also kept a track of what format I have been reading over, I track it every month. So over April, May, June, I read 21 physical books from my own stash, which is fantastic. I have reduced my unread physical books by, I reduced it by 21 and I received, I don't know how many pre-orders, and I know I got a gifted book and I got books for my birthday. I should have taken a note of how many new physical books I have on my TBR, but I haven't. So let's just live in the hope that it's a really good ratio there. I also had 6 rereads. I have been trying to get back in the habit of rereading favourites because if they were favourites before, why would I not love them again now? I also read 8 ebooks that I already owned, which just proves that my attempts at working on my crush your Kindle goals really are, I am trying to reduce the number of unread books just hanging out on my Kindle shelves, gathering dust. I didn't read any library ebooks this quarter, but that is my least favourite format of a book, just because my library app doesn't work with a Kindle. So I have to read the books either on my phone or on my iPad, which is just, my eyes do not want that. So it's my least preferred format for books and I haven't read any. I have read 1 Audible Unlimited book. I kind of would like to maybe read a bit more, really make use of my subscription. I have also read 4 books from Audible from my own shelf. I have an Audible subscription and I need to remember that I have it so I can use it. I also used the library for some audiobooks. I read 3 library audiobooks and I only read 2 physical books from the library. You can see my little stack of library loans there. I picked books up in June, never got to them. So I've only read 2 over the whole 3-month period. And I have read 7 NetGalley ARCs, advanced reader copies. But I still have, at this point, I still have 21 books on my NetGalley shelves. I just put requests through for books, forget about them, work my way through my shelves, and then an approval comes through. So I don't know if maybe I reach a trigger or something, but every time I read one, I feel like an old request from months ago comes through, and I feel like I'm not making the biggest amount of progress, and I would really like to. I want to share with you my top 5 books from the last quarter because I loved them. And that's what, yeah, I'm here to talk about the books I've enjoyed. First book I want to mention is Glossy, The Inside Story of Emily Vicey Glossier by Marissa Meltzer. This is a non-fiction book. I read it through audiobook and it was just the kind of non-fiction I love, which is a little bit kind of gossipy, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, and the kind of book that you're like, how is this a book? Why is this not a magazine article? Or like a YouTube video. How did this get a whole book? I don't know how, but I'm happy it did because I had such a good time with it. I really enjoyed the author's delivery and the subject was really interesting. I'm a huge fan of The Hills and love seeing what the previous cast have gotten up to. My next favourite is Hannah Khan Carries On by Uzma Jalaluddin. I have read 2 books by this author this year and it was really hard to pick. I knew I wanted to have one of her books in my favourites for the quarter and it was really hard to pick which, but I went with this one and I just loved it. It was inspired by You've Got Mail, which is one of the most charming films. I loved it. We have Hannah Khan. Hannah is her main character. She has a podcast, she has a family restaurant that is really struggling, and she has a rival who opens a competing restaurant, which really just kind of hammers home how her family restaurant is doing. And she kind of has this like will they won't they going on, and it was just charming characters, charming interactions. My heart was warmed. It was just a really beautiful book and I love this author's writing. Another book that I don't have a physical copy of was Youth Juice by E.K. Sathyew. This is a book about a toxic beauty startup and we have a character who feels like they've kind of got their first like proper grown-up job and feels a little maybe like out of their element, and they are working, creating and showing these products, lotions and potions, and it turns out that there is a secret surrounding Youth Juice, which is their kind of moisturizer that feels like it's magical and got these restorative properties. And it then leads into chaos. There are secrets surrounding the ingredients. There's so much drama. It was a very dark, creepy book that I felt kept me captivated because I just had no idea what direction the book was going to go in. Was it going to go veer into the chaos, or was it kind of going to go somewhat like feet firmly in reality? It stuck with the chaos. That's what I want. It very much gave me Death Becomes Her mixed with The Devil Wears Prada. I love both of those films and yeah, absolutely adored this book. It was such a good time. And now I can actually talk about books I own physical copies of. Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Farida Abike Ayamedi. This takes place in a very prestigious private school where our main character, her roommate goes missing her first night there and nobody seems to really care, but she does. Shadi really cares what happened to her roommate and she looks into it and unravels this tangled web of secrets and lies within her educational institute, and it was very enjoyable, very twisty turny, and again I didn't know what was going to happen. This author just writes characters that I want to just wrap up in, you know, hugs and give them hot chocolate and like look after them. So I really just loved the characters that she had given me, and this book was so good. It was so quick. Like, it was over 500 pages, but I didn't feel like there was no point that I was like, how many pages left? No, I wanted all the pages left. I really, really enjoyed this. And the last of my favourites was The Poisons We Drink by Bethany Baptiste. This takes place in a world where there is magic, but not for all. And the people who don't have magic are really annoyed at the people who do and are trying to set legislation to stop people from using the skills that they have. It definitely held up a mirror to society in the real world as it is. And I really loved, again, the characters in this book. Our main character, her mother is killed and she is given the opportunity to have revenge on the person who took her mother from her. All she has to do is brew a potion that will allow control to be taken over some very important senators who are going to be voting on a bill which will either make or break the witch community. I really loved this book. I really loved the characters. I really loved the world building. I felt like I understood the risks and the rewards of the magic system, which is huge for me when I read a book with magic. The sibling relationships, there are multiple sibling relationships in this book that just caught me in the feels and I ugly cried. I sobbed so much that my eyes stung, and yeah, I really loved this book. I cry at most books, but this one, oh, broke me. Like, in a good way. In a way that makes me go, I want other people to read this book and they can be broken too. But like, then you get back together. But like temporarily broken with the feelings. I would love to know how your second quarter of the year has gone. Do you have any favourites over the last couple of months? And have you enjoyed any of the books that I have? Thank you so much for watching. Bye!